Jay Scott Radio Show.
And here's your host, the man taking on the feces of evil. It's Jay Scott!
Do you ever feel like you've jumped out of the frying pan and straight into the fire? Because that's what it seems like, doesn't it? We seem to jump from one problem to another. You know, we had the Islamist extremism for a while, and that seemed to stop for the convids, the 2-year convids. And as soon as we climb out of that hole, well, we have Russia. The fear of Russia and its nuclear capability has been with us for generations.
A warning may come quite unexpectedly. We will now tell you what to do if a warning sounds when you are at home. And then we will explain what to do if you are out of doors. First, if you are at home. If attack is imminent, you will hear the attack sound like this.
This latest conflict has the mainstream media salivating. And this reminded me of something.
Oh, Donald, what's the atmosphere like?
Tension here is very high, Chris. The stretched twig of peace is at melting point. People here are literally bursting with war. This is very much a country that's going to blow up in its face.
Well, gentlemen, it seems you have little option now but to declare war immediately.
Very well, it's war.
War it is.
That's it, Chris. It's war. War has broken out. This is a war.
That's it. Yes, it's war.
Journalists baying for war was a great parody back on the day-to-day, but not so great in 2022. Now, every news report must include an air raid siren and the reporter putting on safety gear.
Yeah, I think it's relatively safe at the moment. Look, I've got a... Oh,
There's another one.
I've got a flak jacket right here. Let me just get it on.
So
I've been
Matthew
told by our
Chance is
security
in,
that we need to get a...
live person in Kyiv, Ukraine. Matthew, we're going to stick with you. Matthew is on a roof in central Kyiv, he's telling us, and just for the first time, just moments ago, you witnessed live on this program explosions. Again, he doesn't know exactly what those explosions are.
Yeah.
Don't rush.
So look,
We're
yeah,
good.
sorry, I think I've broken my microphone as I put on the flak jacket. Look,
Yeah,
there you go.
okay.
I'll have to hold it in front of you.
We won't ask you about them on air.
Hang
Good
on,
idea to get a flak jacket on.
Leland.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, we got to put our protection on here.
Yep. We're going to give you a minute to do that.
Now. I'm going to go.
So what's happening right
And I've
now,
lost my
and I've
glasses.
done this myself, is when
It just shows how quickly things can change here. But we have got our, in fact, it's just being passed to me now. We have got our personal protective equipment to put on. I can put that on. We also have...
The music playing in the background is from the movie Wag the Dog. In the movie, in order to distract the press from an upcoming sex scandal, they literally fabricate a war. In one scene, they use special effects to create the perfect poster girl, Anne Cat.
And this just in, a Newsbreak special report from the Albanian front. We've just received information that the young Albanian national fleeing in this video is attempting to escape terrorist reprisals in her village. America has seldom witnessed a more poignant picture of the human race than that which armed conflict.
Fantastic.
Great.
That was good. They used the same process with the last Schwarzenegger movie.
Now, I'm not saying this war is fake, but the propaganda's the same. Look at this image from The Sun a few days ago. And speaking of The Sun newspaper, on the top of every one of their pages, they had "We Heart Ukraine." We love Ukraine. And it got me to thinking, do we love Ukraine? How many Sun readers could point to Ukraine on a map? Atrocity propaganda too, in the headline "Vlad bombs babies." And the narrative from the Ukrainian ambassador is that Putin is literally Hitler and should go kill himself. Well, there's no mistaking what Putin's done, but is he Hitler? A guest on GB News, who had an alternative opinion, nearly gave Tom Harwood a panic attack.
You can't have food. So what the hell are the West doing making Russia go into Ukraine?
The West making Russia go into Ukraine?
Yes.
What on earth
yes,
kind of
because
assessment
20
is that?
years ago, Tom, you know, this is not being discussed in the media. 20 or 30
I'm
years
sorry,
ago,
that is
the
conspiracist
Americans
nonsense.
and the British said
Russia
that
has started a
NATO
war
would
of
not
aggression against Ukraine. Ukraine, as a free and independent sovereign territory, wished to enhance its security by joining an international defensive alliance.
A free, independent, sovereign country is not how I'd describe it. This all didn't start just 5 days ago. This conflict's been going on for 8 years now and started when the then Ukrainian government was overthrown for not signing a deal with the EU. If you look up the Revolution of Dignity, you'll see just how complex this whole war is.
And if Ukraine becomes part of NATO, the Russian fleet won't be in Sevastopol, but the American Sixth Fleet might very well be there. And NATO will be on Russia's southwest border. And the Russians see this as an existential danger. And they say, we will not permit it.
This is how the Vice President of the United States summed it up.
So Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically that's wrong.
Wow, deep and meaningful stuff from Kamala Harris. And here's another one, Diane Abbott, who should really be kept locked inside.
I seem to think that his tanks could roll in to Croatia into Ukraine.
Diane Abbott can't get something right accidentally. And Bungalow Biden seems to think that Putin has invaded Iran.
Putin may circle Kyiv with tanks, but he'll never gain the hearts and souls of the Iranian people. He'll never extinguish their love of freedom, and he will never weaken the resolve of the free world.
Oh my God, we are in the shit. They say the first casualty of war is the truth. People are actually sharing video game footage as conflict in Ukraine. This video game footage has been viewed 27 million times, as it purports to be genuine footage from Ukraine. We're seeing game footage, old footage, and even air shows. Mainstream media is of course rife with fake stories like this one. Russia deploys mobile crematorium to follow the troops into battle. Turns out this is a few years old, this story, and they were in fact burning garbage. And speaking of garbage, this report showing the Ukrainian president on the front line was in fact a border inspection in 2021. It's difficult to know who or what to believe. One thing's for sure though, Alex Jones had this to say in October.
But we're looking at a giant war in February right now. Currently, that's the projections with the top people on the earth who claim they're not with the New World Order Combine. Is war in February. And this is the type of time, like right before World War I, right before World War II, when everything kicks off.
So how could Alex Jones predict this war in February when, to everybody else, it seemingly came out of the blue? Well, maybe George Galloway can explain.
History doesn't begin when Sky News arrives. The clock doesn't start ticking from the moment that CNN roll up. I could go back a long way for the cause of where we are today, but I only have time to go back to 2014. That's the proximate date when this conflict started in Ukraine and between Ukraine and Russia. When the elected government of Ukraine was overthrown in a violent, fascistic coup organized to the nth degree by the United States Embassy and its then ambassador, Victoria Nuland. The government was overthrown. The elected president was chased from the country. The parliament was set on fire. The MPs at gunpoint had to pass legislation banning the use of the Russian language, a language spoken by almost a third of the population of Ukraine. That coup was spearheaded, its vanguard was the right sector and the Azov battalion, jackbooting, swastika-wearing, SS insignia-bearing, fully fledged Nazis. The people of eastern Ukraine said, up with this we will not put. We elected that president. We elected that government. You've just overthrown it. You've just banned our language and our culture, and we will not accept it. So we are going to set up self-declared republics in the Donbass.
If you think this sounds like a pro-Russia video, well, to those people I say...
I don't agree with what Putin's doing. Hello, for the hard of hearing at the back, I don't agree or support President Putin. Have we cleared that up now? And just because I'm not going mad, losing me bloody marbles, going to war, asking for my government to go to war on the back of a few dodgy videos, and people like Piers Morgan improving their social profile by putting pictures of kids in shelters, or Jeremy Vine on the BBC saying that 18-year-old conscripted soldiers who've gone to fight in the Russian army deserve to get killed.
They've invaded Ukraine. What's your problem with fighting Russians if they've invaded Ukraine? What's your problem with doing that?
Russia were our allies.
Yeah, but that's then.
The people of Russia are not our enemies. And I don't think they're the enemies. Quite a number of those Russians you probably find will go across, and they were holding their hands up this morning, not wanting to fight, showing the Ukrainians.
Yeah, but if
they were told lies by Putin, surprise, surprise.
True, but yeah, you know, the brutal Bill. The brutal reality is, if you put on a uniform for Putin and you go and fight his war, you probably deserve to die, don't you?
Do you? Do kids deserve to die? 18, 20, called up, conscripted?
That's life.
Who don't understand it?
That's the way it goes.
I don't trust Putin, but then I don't trust our own government either. I certainly don't trust Biden. Makes you wonder who you can trust, doesn't it? I think Neil Oliver nailed how a lot of us are feeling.
I'll be honest, I don't know what's happening in Ukraine. I don't understand it either. I ignore most of the mainstream media because I don't trust it. In the Wild West world of online, where I graze widely, it feels like there are as many different assessments and explanations of the situation in Ukraine as there are people with keyboards and phones. What I do know is that truth is rarer than gold and therefore harder to find. I also know that whatever Vladimir Putin is up to in Ukraine, the West must accept responsibility for a share of the blame for what is now being suffered and endured by ordinary people there. Whatever Putin has done, whatever NATO and the governments of the EU have done, and I say again, I don't feel anywhere close to knowing what's been going on and what is going on. Men, women and children are sheltering underground on European soil in 2022. Soldiers on both sides are dying. I do know that I don't trust Putin, but I don't trust our leaders or our government, or Europe's government, or the governments of North America either. I certainly don't trust any of them to tell the truth.